Have you ever wondered what it's like to rank up too fast, to be too successful, to somehow manage to get in a position you don't deserve? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode of Tuesday Talks. Imposter syndrome, this feeling of perfectionism, self-doubt, fear of being found out, feeling like you don't deserve to be in the position that you're in because you got lucky or that you're unworthy of the success that you have. It's something we experience in Valorant, especially when we rank up a bit too quickly and when we have certain expectations that the people who we were idolizing at a certain rank suddenly turned out to be not the people we thought they were. For example, if I was a gold player and I ranked up really fast all the way to ascendant, I would think, how the hell am I here? What happened in this time? Do I even deserve to be here? And so I might do things like stop playing with a duo I felt like carried me. I might make another account and try to rank up to that rank again. Or I might look at my ascendant teammates and be like, oh my god, they're so much better than me. What am I even doing here? And I think this comes up a lot, even for people who don't even rank up fast, who are just in a lobby that may be a little more higher rated. When there's an immortal in someone's lobby, it's always an event. It means something. It changes how we play. It changes how we react when that person kills their team or when they make a certain play. And you know what? People make good plays. But today we're going to find out why imposter syndrome happens and what you can do to help it. This is something I see in a lot of my students because they rank up fast, and I completely understand. I've also gone through my own spouts, through work, through coaching, where you have a certain idea of what it means to be something or someone, and then you get to that point, and because you still have this idea, you still strive to make that idea real. I had this idea of what it meant to be a coach, and I eventually realized that what it meant to be a coach was completely unrealistic. It wasn't possible for me, and that's okay. And once I let that go, the imposter syndrome stopped. I would say many times it has nothing to do with the thing that's causing the imposter syndrome as much as it is a feeling internally or an idea internally that has not been fully thought through or felt through. These are more mental problems. It happens from an internal state, and your internal state will always be reflected onto your reality. Now, if I could simplify this all into one sentence, it would be, there is no figuring it out. There is no state where you are like the perfect version of a Valorant player. There's no state where you don't whiff. There's no state where you reach a level of success that you truly deserve. You know, there's just nothing that really happens. You do need luck, you do need preparation, and you do need to understand at some point your experiences, whether you believe in them or not, are worth listening to. That if you think you're not smart enough or young enough or experienced enough, these are just mental blocks that were created in your head, and that's the imposter syndrome loop. So if you want to get out of the loop, you just have to think the opposite. You know, this is new to me and I'm learning. My experience is useful and valid. I made a mistake. I'm still learning. It's practicing self-compassion in these moments. This is still something I'm learning greatly about. No one will ever understand you or treat you or judge you as much as you do yourself. You are both the problem and the solution. It creates this interesting dilemma, and I've always liked to think as there's a part of you that is the problem, there's a part of you that's the solution. You call the shots on who you are and how you live. So I'm not really sure entirely what everyone does who watches my channels. I know there's programmers, designers, students, and complete degenerates who just watch me because they think I have boobs. So I'm curious what y'all's perspective is, if there's a moment where you feel like you encountered imposter syndrome, if you're currently dealing with it, and how you want to treat that or how you have treated that relationship. It's such an interesting idea when you really approach it from a outside perspective. When you realize like this person has gotten to this place, and whether they like it or not, like they're here. And so what more can you do than make the best out of it? Not just in terms of Valorant, but I'm sure many people here will end up achieving or have achieved a level of success, and you might find yourself in a position where it's just like, why am I here? What have I done that makes me different or led me to this place? And it's an interesting question that I'm not really sure has an answer. It might be a lot of things. It might just be pure luck. You might have just said the right things or been in the right place. It kind of reminds me, I once got an interview for some like 6-figure tech job, and I had literally no idea what it would actually be. I know very little programming, but I decided I'm going to try to prepare as much as I can for this interview. This was like the night before, so I literally studied like the position, the jobs, what kind of questions he would ask me, 6 hours straight. And then when I went to the interview the next day, I walked in. It was a fancy like modern place. There was just a bunch of computers, everyone was working. It looked like a startup vibe. And I go into the room, I hand them my resume from my nice envelope, always keep a physical copy, you know, and we start running through some questions. I talk about my background, some of my experience, and then they bring on an actual engineer into the call. Now, of course, the engineer is not actually in the building. He's off in some country somewhere else, just chilling. 20 minutes late to the meeting, hops into Zoom and just starts asking questions. I think he has something like, how do you do a GitHub poll? Like, what is that actually like? What's the command? Or have you done one of these before? Out of all my studying, I never came across something like that. I kind of knew what GitHub was, but I had no idea what a poll actually was. To this day, I'd still kind of be guessing, and that showed in my answering. And after he continued to ask me questions that I could tell were getting simpler and simpler, and I just did not know the answer of, it became clear to them that I had no idea. You could feel the energy in the room change. And the final interview for this position, they decided on someone, but they still wanted to hear me out. And I'm sure he went with that other person after this. I remember, standing up, shaking their hand, and being like, "Thank you for your time. I will continue to invest in my skills." Knowing full well I just wasted like an hour of these companies' times trying to get in a position I wasn't really qualified for by technical terms, but was willing and determined if I had the position to learn the skills. And I think that kind of goes to the part of fake it till you make it. But also trust in yourself that when you do make it, that you will make mistakes, you will learn. Like, I wanted this job. I did everything I could to do that job, given my current capabilities. I did the best I could have done in the interview. It just didn't work out. And the idea of fake it till you make it makes sense, but I think it's more believe you can do it until it's done, or believe you are capable until it is no longer possible. And when you speak to someone who is in a position of admiration, whether it's like someone who does speeches, writes books, an artist, a role model, a celebrity, like anyone that people basically look up to in a sense, I truly think that behind they're all the same. Like, the writer sits down and looks at a blank page, is like, what the hell am I going to write about? They just try to get started. The person who's about to do a speech in front of thousands of people takes a deep breath, puts on a smile, and walks out of the curtains. The CEO of a company might look at stats and numbers and wonder, what the hell does this all even mean? And that's where Mario shows up and helps him get an idea in his head. You've probably heard it before, but other people don't have it figured out either. I don't have it figured out. I have a measure of success that some people look for, but I'm still experimenting with my content. I'm still trying new things. I still don't really know what's going on, but I follow my instinct. I follow my experience. I follow what I think will best serve my community. And I found peace in that. And when you find peace internally, you no longer have to rely on external factors to tell you whether or not, you do deserve to be there. So eventually at a certain point, you just have to be like, how much is enough? How much do I have to know? At what point do I deserve to be here? At what point do I have a measure of success? At what point does my own action actually attribute to my desired result? Did I just get lucky? Did I really do it right? Or did this person just like help me figure it out? And I don't mean these as like logical, factual things that happen, but just how these situations felt like they were to you. It's okay to get help from others. It's okay to get lucky sometimes. It's okay to make mistakes. That's why we exist, to learn from them. And when you find yourself in a situation where you feel like you may be undeserving, that you may not have gone there too quick or too easily, and you try to find a reason for it, maybe there isn't one. Maybe you're just in this situation because you're in this situation, and this is just where the universe has brought you, and now it's just up to you to make the most of it. There's also a sprinkle in ego in a lot of the things we talked about. Ego is identity. Ego is the primal brain, comparison to others. Then you notice yourself comparing yourself to others. That's your ego coming into play. When you think others have it figured out or have it down, when you think, oh, they're so much more successful than me, or even when you think, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not an ascendant. I'm not deserving of this role. Why am I even here? And to throw a little fear your way, worst part of this all, because you're so distracted on your own internal state of, oh, I don't belong. I'm not an expert. I'm not capable. I'm not smart enough to be here. It can actually cause you, when you encounter a mistake, you don't end up learning from it. Or when you see someone succeeding, you might act bitter or off towards them. And this can cause conflict that is almost impossible to see when you're in that internal state. And you'll be amazed at what you attract after you start believing in what you deserve. Because where you place your energy is where you create your reality. Where attention goes, energy flows. That is it from your coach with no toes. This has been Slayerkey, and I will see you next time. Bye.